We're going to talk about the difference between whey and vegan protein powders and we'll dig deep into the logistics of each. My name is Rachel and I'm the founder and CEO of MindStrong, where we have been helping peri and postmenopausal women heal their metabolism, keep it healthy for life, and most importantly to me as an educator, be in the driver's seat of their health because they understand the how and why this works for nearly a decade now. So let's start with whey protein powder. The pros of whey protein powder are that it tends to have more protein. Now, that's not a blanket statement. As the years go by, they're coming out with more and more vegan protein powders that are higher. But the vast majority, if you were to side-by-side compare, most whey protein powders tend to be higher in protein. They also, and this is why I harp so much on the personal preference, I'm going to dig deeper into this in a second, they also tend to come in more fun flavors. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I have a harder time finding flavors I like in vegan protein powder. Most of them, again, not all, because I know I'm going to get comments of like, well, I use this one and they have this flavor. They're out there. They're just, you got to dig for them. If you walk through any supermarket, you're going to see flavors like chocolate chip cookie dough and mint chocolate chip and Cinnabon swirl, whatever it is. 99% of those times, especially in a supermarket, in a supplement store, they're going to be whey protein powder. You just find more not nutritious, that is the wrong word there. You find more delicious flavors of protein powder. They tend to be whey. Now, whey protein powder is whey, right? It's dairy. So if you are someone who does not do dairy, don't use whey protein powder. That is one case where I will give you a yes or no. If you have to avoid dairy, you're not going to want to use a whey protein powder because it's whey, it's dairy. The other con that comes with whey protein powder is that dairy tends to bloat people. So with whey protein powder, again, not a blanket statement, but this one is pretty common. A lot of people experience bloat if you're drinking it pretty consistently because dairy tends to bloat. Okay, so pros of whey protein powder, pros of whey protein, that's getting messed up in my head. Number one, tends to be higher in protein, not a blanket statement, but typically true. Number two, tends to come in more fun, more palatable flavors. Cons or cautionary tales. One, if you're someone who avoids whey, don't do it. That is a blanket, don't do it because it is whey. And two, just know that with it comes some bloat because dairy tends to bloat. Real quickly, if you need some help with protein, one of my favorite guides that I have out there is called 8 Ways to Add Protein to Meals You're Already Eating, and it even includes a whole bunch of vegan and vegetarian options. You can go to mindstrongfitness.com/protein guide or just use the link in the comments below to grab your copy. Now, let's get back to the episode. Now, vegan protein powders, you can probably guess the pros and cons based off of the pros and cons of the whey. So vegan protein powders, and by the way, there are a variety of what kind of vegan protein powder, right? You'll find pea protein. There's a whole gamut of what makes them vegan. The common theme is that they are not made of whey. There's no dairy in them. So if you are a full-fledged vegan and you do not do dairy at all, then obviously you're going to want a vegan protein powder. If you're someone who just doesn't do a lot of dairy or you don't want the bloat, that's one of the big pros of vegan protein powder is it tends to not bloat as much because it doesn't have that dairy element. The cons of vegan are, number one, most of them, not all of them, but most of them tend to have a little bit less protein. So where a good whey protein powder might get you 30 grams of protein per serving, 25, 30 grams, a vegan protein might get you closer to like 15, 20 grams. I try, if I'm going to do a vegan protein powder, I'm looking for one that has at least 20 grams. And then non-vegan, I'm looking for closer to 30. Not the end of the world because you can just increase your portion size. But gram for gram, vegan tends to be a little bit lower in protein. Again, as the years have gone on, that's changed, but kind of a blanket statement there. Number two, and again, this is changing over the years, you tend to find less fun flavors. I personally have never had a vegan chocolate chip cookie dough protein shake that tasted anything like chocolate chip cookie dough. They tend to come in more of your chocolate, vanilla. Now there's like salted caramel coming out for a lot of brands. Again, that's not to say that nobody has more fun flavors in vegan. Those more fun flavors tend to be whey. So let me bullet point this and I'm going to zoom out and have a bigger picture conversation. Whey protein tends to get more protein per serving, tends to come in more fun flavors, and tends to bloat you because it's dairy. Vegan and tends to be more processed. Vegan protein powder, less bloat, less processing, sometimes less protein, usually less fun flavors. That's kind of the in a nutshell summary of the two. If you are not vegan and you don't care about a little bit of bloat that will go away, that you like, you're fine with dairy essentially. There's no right, wrong, better, best here. And this is what we talk, spoiler alert, this is what we talk a lot about in the is protein powder good for me conversation, is a lot of this comes down to personal preference, right? I know people who are like, if I cannot read the ingredients on a label, it is not going in my body. Someone like that may either, number one, choose to not use a protein powder at all because it is processed, or number two, if they do use one, they're going to go the vegan route and they're going to look for a really clean, third-party tested vegan protein powder. Some people don't care as much, right? They're like, well, as long as it tastes good and gets me protein, I'm in. Someone like that is going to go for the more fun flavors of a whey protein. I personally kind of straddle in the middle there. I am not someone where I'm like, it does not go in my body if I can't read the ingredients. We all know I love Krispy Kreme donuts, right? I don't know what the heck is in them. I don't want to know. I don't eat them every day. They're not the most nutritious, and I still want them now and then. So with that, I do right now, literally right now in my kitchen cabinet, I have a chocolate chips Ahoy whey protein powder. It is super processed. I feel a bit bloated after I drink it, and some days I want a little sweet treat and I need some protein, so I go for that. I'm not going to drink it every day. So I also have a super clean third-party tested vegan protein powder that on days where I need a little boost, I don't want to feel the bloat, I want to be more cautious of what's going into my body, I'm going to go that route. Right? And again, this is what I talk a lot about in that other podcast episode. This comes down to personal preference and what you personally are comfortable with. That's true of the whole concept of using protein powders. Protein powder is a supplement. It means to add to. So the goal is always to get as much protein as we can from the foods we're eating. And then, if we're a little short, we can supplement or we can add to using protein powder. It is not a must. It is not a have to. It's a personal choice. Again, that's really the essence of what we talk about in that other episode. For the purposes of today, there's no right, wrong, better, best, have to, must, should, anything like that when it comes to vegan or whey. It's about understanding the pros and cons and choosing what works best for you and your body.